Friends, very good morning. It gives me very great pleasure to be in your midst this morning and to associate myself with this function, which is focused on the general theme of skill development. I congratulate Alan Sprint and the others who have put in all the efforts to organize this brainstorming session. The subject is appropriate and timely. It's a cliche to say that higher education in India is at crossroads. But this hackneyed and overused expression still contains an element of truth. We have reached a point where reform in the higher education has become urgent. The excellent quality of our best students is recognized very much at home and abroad. All our students who go abroad do extremely well. Most American universities have Indians on their faculty in a large number. While the quality of our best students is not in doubt, it is the quality of the average which is causing concern. The importance of higher education in building up a nation is well recognized. The agricultural, industrial and scientific growth of this country depends upon creating a core of talented professionals in this area. We need not belittle what we have achieved, but nevertheless, there is an urgent need to take a look at the effectiveness of the current education system. Increasing concerns are being expressed, as Shantanu Paul mentioned now, on the employability of the graduates who come out. It is related to two dimensions. One is the quality of the domain knowledge that is being imported. And the other is the relevance of the courses and the programs that are being offered. The demographic profile of the Indian society is favorable for growth and development. Demographically speaking, we are a young society. Calculations indicate by 2020, the average age of the Indian will be 29 years as compared to 40 in United States, 45 in Japan and 47 in Europe. Nearly 2/3 of the population will be in the working age group. This is what we call the demographic dividend. But we can achieve the full benefits of the demographic dividend only if we are in a position to be able to train the youth and make them well equipped. This is not the occasion to talk a great deal about higher education in this country. But let me very briefly make a few comments so that is also relevant to skill development, which is the main theme to be discussed. The three dimensions of the reform of the higher education are access, equity and quality. Access to higher education has to expand because the gross enrollment rate is still much lower than in many other countries. Equity is important because we must be willing to bring within the scope of higher education the vulnerable groups. Equally important is quality. Without quality, achieving quantitative targets is counterproductive. As was remarked just now, if we are turning out graduates, out of which only 20% or 25% are employable, that is a huge waste of human resources and financial resources. We really need to guard against it. We need to raise this percentage to a much higher level. What should be done to improve the quality of education? I think that's a different topic. But I think it is important, there are many educationists here to understand that three things we need to focus on. One, we need to update the curriculum. Knowledge is expanding at an exponential rate. The age-old barriers demarcating different disciplines is breaking down. And we need to keep the students abreast of the most latest developments. Second, we need to revamp the examination system in our country. The examination system that we have in our country is more a test of memory rather than a test of analytical skills. And thirdly, and more importantly, we need to improve the quality of teaching and teachers. In this, of course, technology can be a great help. The technology has opened up immense opportunities for teaching to be upgraded. But at the same time, it is important that we have good teachers. In fact, when you talk about skill development, I think an important segment of the society which also needs skill development is really the teachers also. It is unfortunate to hear from one study that even in the case of teacher education, the number of people with adequate skills who come out of the teaching institutions is still as low as 20 or 25%. Therefore, we need to make effective use of technology, but at the same time, the improvement in the quality of the teacher is important. Ultimately, the machines cannot supplant teachers. Machines can only supplement, or technology can only supplement teachers. It is said, and as an anecdote, that one professor could not attend the class, and therefore he asked his research associate, I have recorded in this what I want to tell the students. You play this tape to the students since I am not going to the class. So the research associate dutifully took the tape and played it to the students. And the students took down. A few weeks later, that the teacher once again could not go to the office, could go to the classroom. And therefore he told the research assistant, once again I have recorded what I have to say, you take it and play it to the students. He took it, the research associate took it, took the tape to the classroom, but there were no students. Wherever a student was sitting, there was a tape recorder. This is what somebody called reel-to-reel teaching. So we need to go beyond it. I think machines are helpful, but we need appropriate teachers. It is very often said that an average teacher conveys, a good teacher communicates, and a great teacher inspires. This is a land which has had great and inspiring teachers, and that is where we need to get back. But let me come back to the issue that is before you, and that is the problem that we have in terms of skill development. Now, skill development in some sense is an extension of the concept of vocational education. There are countries in the world where vocational education has received much greater emphasis than in India. I was surprised to find that in Finland, 40% of the students in the relevant age group go to vocational training institutions. Vocational training or skill development is aimed at improving the ability or providing the ability to do a particular job. Now that is really the concept. But the skills that are required now are varied from simple to complex. Simple skills using simple machines to complex and analytical skills using the most advanced technology. The structure of the Indian economy is changing. Today, agriculture contributes only 18% to the gross domestic product of the country. Another 18 to 20% comes from manufacturing, and the balance comes from the services. And therefore, the kind of skills and the kind of training that is needed must keep pace with the changing structure of the Indian economy. It is a common thing to say that we are now living in a knowledge society. The knowledge society essentially means that the production is no longer resource intensive as much as it is knowledge intensive. And therefore, the kind of skills that need to be given is also becoming wider, and we really need to focus attention in being able to provide the kind of skills that are needed. The demand side and the supply side need to be matched. The demand side comes from the economy and the manner in which that economy is developing. Therefore, the kind of skills that are required by industry, by agriculture, by the service providers are to be supplied by the appropriate supply chain on the other side. Now, how do we do it? The best and the most ideal way is to blend skill development with the education system. In fact, it is a sad commentary on our education system if we are to say that some student will go to a college for 4 or 5 years, obtain a degree, and then he has to go and attend a skill development program in order to enrich himself. Now, that's indeed a poor statement on the status of our education system. Therefore, in the medium term, what is really required is a reform of the education system in such a way that the skill development will be blended with the manner in which education system is provided. But until then, I think we are driven to the situation of supplementing the existing education system through appropriate skill development initiatives. Therefore, the idea is to convert the unemployable graduates into employable graduates. And that is the basic theme behind the skill development policy that was initiated some years ago, as a consequence of which the Skill Development Corporation and many other institutions was set up in order to stimulate the activity relating to skill development. You will hear more from Dilip later. What should be the content of the skill development? The skill development programs are probably short-term programs. And there are 3 kinds of skills that are required to be to be supported by skill development programs. The first, of course, is to improve the domain knowledge. Here, much cannot be done, because if the student has not learned enough, over a period of 4 to 5 years, in a very short period, you are not going to be able to increase the domain knowledge very much. But certainly, some sharpening of the domain knowledge can be done. Second is the application skills. Knowledge has been obtained, but they do not know how to apply that knowledge to specific problems. Let me say this is true not only of physical sciences or engineering or technology, this is also true of social sciences. People study economics to learn principles of economics and theory of economics and tools of economics. But given a particular economic problem, they do not know which theory to apply, which tool to apply. Therefore, there is the understanding of the basic knowledge must be utilized in such a way that it can lead to the solution of problems, and therefore there are application skills which are required. And thirdly, of course, as Shantanu mentioned about, the communication skills are equally important. Therefore, improving the domain knowledge we may play a smaller role. The skill development programs may play a smaller role. But in improving the application skills and communication skills, the skill development programs may play an important part. Then the question that arises is, what is the institutional arrangement that we can have for skill development? As I said, over the longer period or the medium term, we need more vocational training institutions. We need the education system to be reoriented, to be able to provide all the skills as part of the education system. But in the short period, you have 3 or 4 stakeholders in it. One is, of course, the government. The other is the industry, because ultimately industry and the service organizations are the ones which need the skills. They are the ones who are demanding the skills. And thirdly, of course, the trainers. The trainers can be both the institute, the universities or colleges, as well as the training companies like the Talent Sprint. All of them need to work together in order to be able to provide the adequate framework for skill development in the country. Industry cannot absolve itself of some responsibility. In fact, industry will spend a lot more money by training the people whom they are taking and spending time on it and resources on it. It would be most useful for industry to support the skill development programs launched by others. Equally importantly, government, for example, can broadly set the policy framework towards skill development. It can take its own initiative in some areas, but at the same time, I do believe that it could stimulate and it could provide the basic environment in which other private institutions like Talent Sprint and others could come in and provide the skill development programs. The public-private participation in skill development has an important role to play. Let me conclude. The coming decade will be crucial for India. Only if India grows at the rate of 8 to 9% per annum, India's per capita GDP will grow from the current level of $1,800 to $8,000 to $10,000 by 2025. Only then, let me underline the word only then, India will graduate from being a low-income country to a middle-income country. And therefore, growth is important. And for achieving that rate of growth, for maintaining and sustaining that high level of growth, we need many things. We need to raise the savings rate. We need to raise the investment rate. We also need to see that the efficiency in the use of capital is maintained at a high level. But for all of this, also we need critical manpower skills. And that is where the skill development programs come in. The question that is asked is whether it is a crisis or an opportunity. I want to say the crisis always generates the opportunity. Look at 1991. It is only under the shadow of crisis the Indians do perform well. I am sure even in the case of skill development, this will happen. Thank you very much.